My next guest, Lisa Ling, is someone who just continues to prove how great she is. After more than 30 years of fearless reporting, really around the world, the award-winning journalist, now 48, is showing us a surprising side of her life. In her new HBO Max series, Take Out with Lisa Ling, Lisa is celebrating Asian cultures and how they've influenced what we eat, while also getting personal, exploring her own family's journey, which started in a restaurant.
So many Asian American stories began in a family-run restaurant.
These are the little things that help you connect with your culture and share it.
Is Bangladeshi food generally spicy?
I'm so nervous.
Don't underestimate me, Mama. I can do it.
This is now what American is. It's a little bit of everything.
It's about being able to share all the things that we eat and to normalize how great our culture is.
Fam, welcome back to our show, Lisa Ling. Good to have you back, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Tamron. So great to see you, and so what an honor to be on the same show with Dr. Kuji Sylvester and Dr. Kuji. What extraordinary women.
I mean, and you're in that category. I don't know if you heard our audience. I couldn't even hear you say hello because they were applauding you, because folks have rooted for you for such a long time. I mean, looking back at some of the old photos of you, age 18, you became a reporter on Channel 1 News. At age 26, you landed that huge co-hosting job on The View, and then you got a CNN show. Looking back at all those incredible career moments, how do you define it gets greater later? When I say that, what comes to mind for you?
Well, to be honest with you, Tamron, I feel like the work that I'm doing now is so important and means so much to me. I honestly never thought that I would be able to do this kind of work and also be able to share these incredible forgotten and buried histories of Asian America. But quite honestly, I really feel like I'm just beginning. There are so many stories left to tell. There's so much left to do. And I feel grateful that people still trust me enough to allow me to tell these stories and share these experiences.
I remember being in local news and The View started, and there you were, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my dream job. Look at her, she's doing it. And then I remember when you launched your own series on CNN, and when I look at you, I look at your greatness as being the use of your platform. It is such a powerful thing that you've done, crafting these stories to bring us into the worlds of others. I'm intrigued by this new series, Lisa, because you are bringing us more intimately into your own story and your own world. We have a clip of one of the episodes. It's called Lisa's Story. Let's play that.
Mom was the strong one. The poor woman would cook in the kitchen. It would be 110 degrees.
My Aunt Anna grew up in the restaurants our family ran in the Sacramento area, including this place, Hop Sing. It's also interesting that you and I never learned how to cook. Grandma never taught us how to cook. Because I think she didn't want us to have to work in a restaurant.
Yes, we were the future.
When I heard that line, your grandmom didn't want you to cook because she thought of you as the future. Taping that episode, what was that like for you?
Well, it was incredibly emotional to be highlighting my family's journey and the food that I grew up feeling so ashamed of. You know, for my generation, we never learned anything about Asian American history in school. And I grew up in a community that was very non-diverse. There were very few Asians in our neighborhood. I never wanted kids to come home to my house because it always smelled like Chinese food, and that just really, it sticks to you, as we know. And so to be able to one day have this opportunity to tell the story, these stories that have been buried for so long, and to highlight this food that, despite the discrimination that Asian Americans have dealt with, the scapegoating that the community has experienced for over a century, somehow Asian food has become so ubiquitous. It really seems like we all love Asian food. There are more Chinese restaurants in America than McDonald's, Wendy's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell combined. And so my feeling is, in this critical time right now, when Asian Americans have really been scapegoated and under attack in the wake of COVID, you know, if you love our food, please take the time to understand the stories behind behind these restaurants, because for so many Asian Americans, restaurants have become the only pathway to some semblance of the American dream. And that was the case for my own grandparents. And for my grandmother and my grandfather, neither of them knew how to cook before they opened that restaurant, but it was one of the only businesses they could own as Chinese people. For her, the restaurant was a means for survival, and she did not want me to have to work in a restaurant because of that.
And going back to what we talked about as a role as a journalist, telling these stories, Lisa, that truly is the greatest part of this experience for you as a journalist, is being able to bring voice to these stories that have not existed.
Absolutely, Tamron. This show has been an opportunity for me to be able to share these incredible stories. And the best way we've found is through this food that so many have come to love.
I love it.
And what's really incredible as a parent of young kids is that now my own kids are growing up with so much pride about being Asian. You know, they ask me to take dumplings and noodles to lunch. To pack in their lunch. I mean, they would take kimchi if I would let them.
Oh.
I'm like, no, 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 no. That smell is a little too pungent to take to school. But they're really proud, and it really feels awesome to be able to experience this as the mom, seeing my kids just so excited and proud of their culture.
Yeah, and you have, I know, so much more to go and so much to report on. Because you have covered, I feel, everything, is there something, or is there a story that's front of mind that you say, it is boiling, and now that you're such a powerful voice in news, such a powerful voice in documentary, maybe if you sold it 20 years ago, 30, they would have said no, but now you're Lisa Ling. You've gotten greater later, and you can go in these meetings and pitch. Is there something that you want to bring?
There's so many stories, Tamron. I'm right now working on producing some scripted projects that are based on characters in history, real historical figures whose stories haven't been told, but extraordinary ones. And to me, looking at their stories really allows us to understand where we are now, and hopefully how to move forward in a way that is constructive and productive. You know, I think one of the reasons why our country finds itself so embroiled in tension, right, is because so many diverse histories haven't been told.
Imagine if all of our stories, your grandparents' stories, my grandfather, a sharecropper born in 1901 in Luling, Texas, was told in their truest form. And prior to that, where would we be? We have a beautiful country. It's a beautiful melting pot, but there's a lot more to be done. And because of stories like yours, the work is being put in. So that is your greatness. Thank you so much, Lisa Ling.